In 2015, almost a year ago, Britain had a general election. On May the 7th, 30 million people turned out and voted for who they wanted to represent them in government. The votes looked like this, but when you look at the election result, things are a little bit different. This is because of our voting system, first past the post. I'm Owen Winter and I'm going to tell you 5 reasons why we need to change our voting system if we want a fair and democratic society. First off, what is first past the post? First past the post is the system we use in the UK to elect our members of parliament. Under first past the post, the country is divided into 650 areas called constituencies, which each elect one MP. When there is a general election, there are in fact 650 individual elections to decide the MPs in each area. You may think that this seems like a pretty sensible way of doing things, but in reality this system just isn't fit for purpose. Here's why. Number 1. Election by a minority. Our MPs, elected representatives, are supposed to represent the interests of all of their constituents. Unfortunately, that is not always the case under first past the post. In fact, more than half of MPs were elected with a minority of the vote in their constituencies. This means that a lot of the time, MPs who are elected don't have the support of the majority of their constituents, who are left feeling unrepresented. In 2015, a new record was set for British elections in Belfast South. This was for the MP elected with the smallest share of the vote, just 24.5%. This means that in Belfast South, for every 1 voter who voted for their MP, there are 3 who did not. Now that's not a great mandate for an MP in Parliament. Number 2, tactical voting. Tactical voting is a really big problem in our elections, and it's one that I experienced firsthand. In my constituency, North Cornwall, there were 2 main candidates who were in with a chance of winning. For the supporters of these candidates, it was fine, but for everybody else, it presented a big problem. If they voted for their favourite candidate, it could mean that they got an MP that they didn't want at all. So at this election, a lot of people started thinking and voting tactically for the candidate they didn't like to stop the candidate they liked even less. I even got letters through the post saying, "Your candidate can't win here, you've got to vote for me to stop the other guy." This means that people stopped thinking about who they wanted to vote for and more about who everyone else was voting for. In a good democracy, you should be free to vote for the one you like the most, not the one that you dislike the least. Number 3, wasted votes. It sounds absolutely shocking, but it's true. If you voted at this general election, your vote probably didn't make a difference. The majority of voters have absolutely no impact on who is in power when the election is over. This is because in first past the post, votes for a losing candidate or above the level they need to win that seat count for nothing. This means that lots of people are totally disengaged and feel disenfranchised, which is not good for our democracy. Because of our system of individual local elections, third parties are seriously disadvantaged. Because the votes cast for losing candidates have no impact on the final result, a party could pick up a significant chunk of the vote and still be left winning very few of the seats, as happened to UKIP. Last year, UKIP got 13% of the vote and yet only 1 MP. 99% of UKIP voters wasted their votes and had absolutely no impact on the final result of the election. And that's not very democratic. Number 4. Restricting voter choice. First past the post inevitably means that elections become a 2-horse race. Third-party candidates end up dropping out or lose support because voters try and vote tactically. Because of first past the post, the 2 main parties have become broad coalitions which aim to win centrist voters because they believe it is the only way to win elections. This is the reason why the 2 main parties actually become incredibly similar, and parties which are offering alternative views struggle to get a foothold. First past the post also means there is no way to show a preference within a party. There is a big difference between those on the left of Labour and those on the right, and the same in the Conservative Party. Voters have no way of showing this at the ballot box. A side effect of this restriction of choice is the representation of women and minorities. In order to win seats, parties want to put forward the safest candidate. The majority of people who vote are white, male and middle class. This means that not only are minority opinions not represented in Parliament, but women and minorities do not have the representation that they should. Politicians tend to be the same sort of people saying the same sort of things, which is perceived to be the thing that will win them the constituency. Number 5, safe seats. In some areas, one party is extremely popular and wins the vast majority of votes. This is a safe seat. Take Liverpool Walton. This has been a safe Labour seat since 1964, and in 2015, Labour got over 80% of the vote. Labour is all but guaranteed re-election at the next election. This means the voters are effectively disenfranchised. The MP here is guaranteed a job for life. Even if he or she is unpopular, it is very hard for voters to remove their MP because their party is so popular. When there are a group of safe seats in an area, it is called an electoral desert. Examples of these in the UK are the north of England, which tends to vote for Labour, and the south east, which tends to vote Conservative. This means these areas are totally ignored. The party which wins these seats know they will always win, so they don't have to worry about convincing these voters. Whereas the parties that do not win know they never will, so they don't bother trying. This has drastic effects on how government treats these areas and is pretty unfair on those who live there. Everybody should have a vote that counts equally, but these voters don't, just because of where they live. Thank you for watching. I hope you can see now why me and so many other people think we desperately need change. How can it be democratic for the Conservatives to have 51% of the seats with only 37% of the vote? How is it fair that the Green Party got 1 million votes and UKIP got 4 million votes, but they only got 1 MP each, whilst the SNP got 56 MPs with just over 1 million votes? If you agree with me, please write to your MP to tell them how you feel. We need to apply pressure to politicians to change this broken system. I am the spokesperson for Make Votes Matter, a cross-party organisation campaigning for a fairer voting system. You can find out more about us and get involved on our website www.makevotesmatter.org.uk. Thank you.